ביום אמריקה הלטינית בחוג ללימודים רומניים ולטינו-אמריקאים. לפני שנתחיל את הרעיון עם נספח התרבות של שגרירות ברזיל, אני רוצה להגיד כמה תודות לאנשים שעזרו לנו מאוד היום, במיוחד לסגל החוג שתמך בנו, לפרופסור רות פיין. הכי תודה גדולה לוועד החוגי המדהים שלנו, לרותם מיטרני השותפה שלי באגודה, לדנה מילר, לג'סיקה שיינברג, ליאקי מלצר, נעמי סגל, מיתר גיסר. היום הזה לא היה מצליח בלי העזרה הצמודה של אגודת הסטודנטים. אני רוצה להגיד תודה רבה ליו"ר האגודה יעל סיני, לשירן אודי, והתודה הכי גדולה מגיעה לסיוון, שבלעדיה זה לא היה קורה כזה יום. טוב. אז אני שמחה להציג את הנספח התרבותי של ברזיל, מר פבלו גוסטבו ינסן דה סנטנה. מר דה סנטנה נמצא כאן בישראל לאחר שהוא היה מטעם שגרירות ברזיל בבואנוס איירס ואחר כך בברלין, ועכשיו הוא איתנו. I would like to represent Mr. Pablo Gustavo Jansen de Santana, the cultural attaché of the Brazilian embassy. Before Mr. Santana came to Israel, he worked at the Brazilian embassy in Buenos Aires and also in Berlin. Bem-vindos.
Muito obrigado.
It's lovely to have you here with us today. I will begin with some easygoing question. Did you hear that Gal Costa is due to perform here in Israel?
You told me when I arrived, so thank you for telling me. That's a great thing, and I hope when it starts the tickets to be sold, I expect to be the first to buy it because she's a great artist.
I already buy two tickets. Okay, in the last couple of years, Brazil tries to play a major role in the Middle East. Do you think Brazil is today an important factor that can help to establish international agreements here in the Middle East?
I think that the world has recently changed. New actors must be brought to the international arena. For instance, the UN must be reformed. In the Brazilian point of view, we cannot accept structures which were made 60 years ago, and new actors are here, and we have lots of contribution to give the world, like Brazil, like India, like South Africa. And I think the Brazilian point of view, which is always based on dialogue, on peace, on bringing people together, can help the entire world, including the Middle East.
So do you think that it can help stabilize our relations with the Palestinians?
I think so. In Brazil, recently, last year, we organized a seminar. The name was Side by Side, which brought together the Jewish diaspora in Brazil and the Palestine diaspora in Brazil. And a characteristic of Brazil is that our communities, they live in peace, regardless of their origin. And the Palestine community and the Jewish community, they have actually very good relations in Brazil. And we want to show the world that it's possible to live together. And that's what we did when we promoted that seminar.
Okay. If you're talking about South America, that has changed a lot within the last 20 years. There are many anti-US left-wing governments such as Argentina, Uruguay, and of course Venezuela. It seems Brazil is playing a moderate role in the region. Where do you see Brazilian international policies tending to? To the Colombia side or to the Venezuela side of the world?
The Brazilian side of the world. I think that South America has changed a lot in the last 30 years. Brazil, Argentina, lots of countries, Chile, Uruguay. 30 years ago, we were under dictatorships. Yeah. We are new democracies, and every country in South America is striving to find its own path to democracy. There are different levels of democracy, different ways that people think about democracy, but I think the most important thing in South America nowadays is that all presidents were elected. We are trying to find our own way to be in the world, not following others. Instead of doing that, finding our own way to show ourselves. There are different kinds of government in South America, of course, but as I told you, Brazil has very good relations with every country in South America and Latin America. Recently, we founded the UNASUR. That's an organization which is trying to coordinate politically and economically all the countries in South America. And that's amazing, because 30 years ago, we couldn't imagine something like that, that countries which are neighbors didn't speak with each other. And today we meet every month to change our points of view and to fight for democracy. Every time democracy is at risk in South America, the presidents meet, talk to each other and try to find a solution inside the region and not from outside. And I think that's a revolution in South America.
Okay, so now we get to the last question, but not least.
Don't be too cruel.
Are Brazil and Rio ready for the big events, the Olympics and the Football World Cup?
Of course. No, we are. Of course, there are big challenges to organize such big events regarding infrastructure, regarding security, regarding organizing and bringing tourists to the country. And I think that's a unique opportunity for Brazil to be ready for the 21st century. Brazil has lots to show. We are an amazing country. We have lots of countries inside Brazil, because Brazil, if you go from São Paulo to Manaus, it's like more or less going to Rome to Moscow. That's how big is Brazil. And lots of diversity, and that's what we intend to show the world, that we are a peaceful country with a lot of things to do, and that people can come to us and just enjoy.
Okay, and between us, if in the final game of the World Cup, if Brazil and Israel gonna face each other, who will you be cheering on?
Israel! I'll be with both flags doing that. Okay.
Okay, as we promised, now we have a question from the crowd.
Yeah,
so,
please.
Does everyone have any question? No questions? Yes.
I would like to ask you your job description as cultural ambassador. What do you do exactly attaché in your job?
Okay, I'm new here in Israel. I've just arrived 2 months ago. I've worked 3 years in Buenos Aires, 3.5 years in Berlin as the press attaché, and here I'm responsible for the cultural department and for the trade department. Regarding the cultural department, we are responsible for promoting the Brazilian culture in Israel. So we try to bring artists from Brazil to Israel, to promote expositions, to bring Brazilian movies. We are going to build, I hope, in 1 or 3 or 2 months, the Brazilian Cultural Center in Tel Aviv, where we want to teach Portuguese, and not only the language, but also the Brazilian food. We want to promote Brazilian movies, to make expositions, to bring sometimes to bring musicians to play together, to bring people from capoeira to present their art, so that people in Israel can see Brazil, our culture, our best side.
Thank you. More questions? If you can just speak to the microphone.
I wanted to ask you, before what you were doing now as a consul here, or as the attaché here,
Yeah.
or what was your study? Do you have a degree in what, or what?
Okay.
What brought you to where you are now?
Okay. In Brazil, to enter the Brazilian Foreign Ministry, you have to have a degree. I'm a lawyer, but I didn't like law, so I became a diplomat. So after you have a degree, you have lots of. We have a very traditional diplomatic academy in Brazil, that's Instituto Rio Branco, and very difficult exams to enter. And then you have to stay 2 years in that academy, and afterwards you started to work as a diplomat in the Brazilian Foreign Office. I stayed there in Brasilia for 5 years, 2 years at the Diplomatic Academy, 3 years working at the press office of the Foreign Ministry. Afterwards I was sent to Buenos Aires. I was the press attaché in Buenos Aires. Afterwards I was sent to Berlin, where I worked as the press attaché again. And I'm here now. I was sent to Tel Aviv. I really tried to come here because I think it's, as a diplomat, it's an amazing country to learn, to see how things work, to be here and see with my own eyes, to have my own opinion. I think that's one of the most important things regarding a diplomat. You can read a lot, but you have to be there and see and talk to people to build your own opinion. In that case, an opinion that must help the Brazilian position. And that's what I'm trying to do here.
Did you build that opinion?
I'm trying to, it's very complex here. It takes time.
More questions?
Yes, just if you can speak.
I have a big voice.
No.
What is the best incentive, for your opinion, to tell Israeli guys and girls, people, come to Brazil?
I think that you have.
He wants you to say capoeira.
I know. That's in my answer, but just at the end, just to tell that that's the best part of Brazil. But Brazil is a very unique country in the world, I would say, regardless of its natural resources, regardless of how big it is. I think our biggest asset is our people. Brazilians are worldwide known as friendly people, people who are very open to other cultures, to people who want to go there and know Brazil. That's when friends from abroad ask me about Brazil, I always tell them, okay, you can go to Rio, you can go to Foz do Iguaçu, you can go to Amazonas, but try to establish friendships in Brazil, because they are really great. And we have amazing places in Brazil to see. Bahia, with the capoeira and all the culture. All over Brazil, capoeira it is. But in Bahia it's even beautiful. It's more beautiful than everywhere. You have the mountains in Brazil, people don't know that. We have the historical cities in Minas Gerais, totally Baroque cities from the 16th and 17th century. As I told once a friend that asked me, oh, should I travel to South America? And then I told him, of course you should go to South America, but you should give plenty of time to Brazil, because Brazil it's a continent in itself and takes time to know the country and to learn capoeira.
Obrigado.
More questions? Okay, thank you. We were very honored to have you here with us.
Thank you for the invitation. It's been great to be here. It's the first time I am here in the Hebrew University. It's beautiful. I really intend to come more often here. It's not so far away, Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and it's always
Not like Brazil.
Not like Brazil. And it's always good to keep in touch with the academia, because it's always it's kind of fresh air in the traditional structures of diplomacy. So if you have any suggestions, if you need something in the Brazilian embassy, or if you just want to go there to have a coffee, go there and look for Brazil. We are at Yehuda Halevi and Herzl in Tel Aviv, and we all in the Brazilian embassy would be very pleased to see you there.
Brazilian coffee?
We are trying to bring, but that's difficult.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
תודה לכם. אנחנו נמשיך בשעה 1, נראיין את נספח התרבות של, ב-1:30 את נספח התרבות של אורוגוואי, ובהפסקה הבאה ימשיך הכיף, וב-2:30 שגריר הרפובליקה הדומיניקנית. מוזמנים.